Hey there YouTube, it's me DJ Winza, and today I'm going to do the Scourge archetype tutorial for you. I like this archetype. This is a ridiculously high damage archetype. Kinda has a glass jaw, but most of the ranged archetypes do. This one has a few things to take care of that at times though. Didn't mean to do that. When this originally came out, they completely redid the supernatural power sets. It used to all be one power set between bestial and now infernal supernatural. They also redid the infernal version to cause toxic damage, which it doesn't really matter to me what element it is as long as it's not slashing. But this one's a good archetype if you've got like ghostly characters or like demonic characters. In fact, it even says toxic mutant, which, you know, if you want to have a radiation themed damage dealer, that's good. Demonic gift. I actually have a character that's somewhat of a demonic gift style of concept. Ancient Curse. Actually, it's a combination of those two now that I think about it. Nightmare Creatures. A lot of people do that. And Remorseful Demon, or Ghostly, or what have you. These are all very valid things. In fact, you could even make a mummy, and they use these very same powers, actually, for their mummy transformation device from the Halloween events. And these powers, as I mentioned, are very high damage, especially coupled with the passive. But let's go over them real quick. Stats-wise, it's basically a lot of recovery, constitution, and ego. Recovery so that you can do all your attacks really quickly and not have to rely on your energy builder too much. Constitution, because some of the I believe some of the powers, I'm not even sure, I think maybe supernatural power might have something to do. No, supernatural power has nothing to do with constitution. I think it's just so that you have a little more health, so that you're a little bulkier when it comes to just plain taking hits, because you're going to be taking them. Because when you come on the scene and start making everybody sick, everybody starts looking at you. But anyhow, there's Infernal Bolts, obviously standard energy builder. Of course, the initial attack has a chance to apply a damage-dealing deadly poison, and it can, through the combination of most of your powers that cause deadly poison, it can stack up to 10 times. And it partially goes through most shield effects, which is very good, especially for enemies that have like force fields, or if you're in PvP and they use personal or what's it called, like mindful reinforcement or whatever the other bubble is. This will mostly go through that. Then there's Infernal Blast, which normally has a chance to, although I think as you charge it up, it actually maxes out the chance, but I could be wrong. And it also refreshes the duration of all poisons on your target, so pretty much any kind of poison-based debuff. I really don't know why I'm gesturing with my hands, because my camera's not on. Anyway, there are several different kinds of poisons, and this will refresh the duration of them. Then there's Condemn, which this used to be another, what's it called, what was this one? Vengeance and Condemn used to be the same power, and then they changed it so that it did toxic damage. And then everyone's like, why didn't you just keep the dimensional damage? There's a dimensional, why not just give that dimensional damage version to this power set? And I think it's, I can't remember the name of the power set anyway, but that's for another time. I went all the way down to support for that. But anyway, Condemn, if you get the advantage, it can become a hold and stun, so you can basically turn it into a very handy control power. But considering you're a damage dealing archetype, if you're on teams, then the hold might come in handy a little bit, but you're going to want to use another power later on in levels. Although this will get you through the first 10 levels pretty easily. Especially when you get the passive. Pestilence is an excellent damage-dealing passive. In fact, I remember running a munitions or guns-based character that had Pestilence as a passive. Now, sure, it boosts toxic and any other elemental damage, but it also adds a dot, a damage over time effect, and that was what I was making use of on my gunner. Now, this works with area of effect attacks, single target attacks. Everything will get this extra damage over time effect. And let me actually read this to you. I'm looking for the specific one. Oh, and the effect increases. The effect of the dot increases as the target's health gets lower. And it reduces the foe's resistance to toxic damage, which is even better for the Scourge. And enemies affected by Pestilence receive reduced benefit from healing effects. So, if you're hitting them with anything that causes them to be hit by Pestilence, even with them standing next to you, they'll get hit by Pestilence. They won't be able to heal as well. So I believe it's it cuts it down by a quarter of what they'd normally be healed by. So this is a very, very good passive. Then you get the choice between Venomous Breath and Vicious Cyclone. This is where the concept of your character comes into play. Like if you're using a ghostly kind of concept, the Vicious Cyclone chain attack may work perfectly. It's a point-blank AoE, so anything within about 20 feet of you will be hit while you're swinging a chain over your head. And it'll take the, it'll get the deadly poison chance, it'll do knockback, or you can switch it to be a knock toward if you get the advantage. And it deals additional damage for each stack of poison on your target. So, each time you poison your enemies with it, it'll deal more damage. Each time any of your other powers deal poison to the enemy, it will deal more damage. Then there's the one that I usually choose, because I actually prefer this power in general over a lot of the other breath powers entirely. I have it on about 2 or 3 characters. Like, it's good if your character is known for throwing up, it's good if your character is known for having bad breath, or if you're gonna go with the mummy kind of thing. And my Scourge has a bug thing going on. You can get a cosmetic advantage. It's 0 points, so it won't go towards your total. To convert it to bugs. So you're spitting bugs at your enemies. And it works for the character that I use it on, because her travel powers are both bug-based. she turns into a cloud of scarabs, or she turns into a bunch of scarabs on the ground. It works, and it deals really good damage. It does the poison, even though it doesn't say so here. I swear it did the poison. It also has another advantage that makes it stun the targets. So, more status ailments, but it does more help than you'd think, because it's only, I believe, 1 advantage point to get that. Then there's... This is what I was saying in the last archetype. This is the only ranged archetype with something other than concentration. It has Aspect of the Infernal. Gives you concentration buffs, but in order to gain more, you have to add poison stacks to your foes, which you can do pretty quickly with this archetype. It's ridiculously fast. Then you get a choice between 2 different types of holding powers. I went with Locust Swarm on mine. It's just a straight regular paralyze, and I chose this one because of the bug theme. I can't recall if it has an advantage or not. I'm gonna have to double check that. But I know that there's also Crippling Coils, which allows a bleed advantage to be put on it. So you use it and they will start bleeding. And it's pretty much the same thing. It's a maintain, paralyze, or incapacitate, or whatever they want to call it. It's pretty much, they can't attack and they can't move. That's pretty much what both of those are. Then one of the coolest blocks in the game, Ebon Void. I know there's probably going to be a bunch of people that are like, but the power armor one's so much better. Yeah, if you're melee, or if you're using power armor. But for a lot of other characters, Ebon Void is an excellent choice. It has built in a damage-dealing property, and basically enemies will attack you, they'll take some damage, and you take some health from the damage they receive. So it's like a combination block and very, 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 very mini heal. It just makes you last a little bit longer when you're forced to block. Then there's Supernatural Power, which is exceptional nowadays, at least. It used to suck at keeping your energy up. Basically, whenever your energy pool is less than 15%, you'll get a burst of energy. And since it's based on recovery primarily, and recovery is your primary stat, you'll get a lot more energy back. So then there's Resurgence, which is just a straight up heal. I think I can't recall what its advantage is. I just know I never get the advantage. But it's just a quick instant heal with about a minute cooldown. There's not really much else I can say there. Then there is one of the 2 ultimate attacks in the Toxic set of Infernal, and these next 2 powers, I really wish you could get them earlier on this archetype. Epidemic. Epidemic basically completely outclasses Vicious Cyclone, which is one of the reasons I chose Venomous Breath. Epidemic, you just stand there and you cause massive damage quickly to all enemies around you, which is one of the reasons why this archetype suddenly becomes the instant aggro magnet. But usually the enemies will die really quickly, so it kind of balances out. And then there is Defile, which great if you're using if you're fighting against the big boss, because you just hit him with Defile the debilitating poison, which is built into it, will then make it so that all of your other toxic attacks deal more damage. So you zap them with that while you're standing next to them, and then just stand there with the epidemic, and you usually melt faces. But like most ranged archetypes, you're going to want to stand off to the side in a large group of folks fighting enemies, because, again, glass jaw. I hope this tutorial for the Scourge was helpful. I'd log on and show, but, well, I don't want to have a half-hour video. Enjoy, like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions. In fact, if you have any questions about freeforms, I can help with that too. In fact, I was considering doing a kind of specialty walkthrough of how to make a concept build useful in PvE. But anyway, I will see y'all later. Enjoy.